I'm Gonzo Fred the Phoenix, and I'm here today to tell you I'm not no more official winner of the Tour de France, and neither is Lance Armstrong. I've rode across the country twice on a bicycle, and during this time I got involved in a postal reward fraud case and investigating the post office, so I kept paying attention to Lance Armstrong and what was going on about it. Because if they wouldn't pay the $100,000 reward, why were they giving $9 million a year to represent a bicycle team and in a foreign country? This is something that's just totally unheard of the federal government doing, and it's the only time that they've done it that we know of sponsoring another group. But well, first we're going to kind of go over some of the stuff that everybody knows about Lance Armstrong. Okay, he was in the bicycle racing, and that he was knowing he could be some up and coming on the speedster side in the flatlands and stuff. But he didn't have no showing of any promise of being a power rider through the mountains. And then he goes into the hospital. He has one cancer, and then he's got where it kind of went into his lungs and his brain. He had to do a bunch of chemotherapy, they say, and that all of a sudden he comes out and he's totally cured, and he ain't had no remission or nothing or anything or whatever. Nobody else has run into that. They're not having anything like that. And even with all the money that's been raised, if he was such a star, then why with all this money that's been raised hasn't something happened for other people, more on the cancer side? That showing that it looks more like a scam somewhere. But the part of it getting into is now he's there was different a top player for on his team comes out and says years ago that they were doing drug enhancement, and everybody poo-pooed it away and stuff. And then as time goes on, now you got this Landis guy coming out saying they were doing it. But it's not only that, but it was the other teams that have got caught and suspended for doing drug enhancement. Now these are the people that didn't win. They were trying just to keep up with Lance Armstrong, and they were doing the thing that kept their team, other mates, trying to keep up with them. Who knows how many people altogether have been doing drug enhancement, but yet Lance Armstrong is winning from everybody, and he's not doing anything when they have to do drug enhancement just to keep up with him. And so as this goes on, we're going to get back into the part, this is what everybody knows, and everybody knows it's something funny, and there's no cure has been made or anything. But now we're going to get into the part where I get into it. And there's two things part of it that I ran into that was really big. One is there's Tailwind Sports. Who were they and where did they come from? How did they get to know the people in the postal system that they could talk them into $9 million? Something, like I said, has never been done. And so we run into people with Tailwind Sports back in 2003 in Mooresville, North Carolina, where the NASCAR teams were at. And as we talked to a woman named Cece Sison, that she said that she was the managing director of Tailwind Sports over Lance Armstrong and stuff, the sport bicycle team. They owned it, and that she was getting ready to, when we talked to her then, to go to Paris for the Tour de France when he won in 2003. But as this went on, I said, well, you're connected to the post office a little good. This postal reward thing's going to look bad on the post office as I keep on with it. And so I went down to the office and left her a storyline that had been wrote about what happened that night on the reward and the murder of a postal employee. They were in a house, and they had some of the rooms in the house, and there's other businesses that had rooms in different rooms in the house, and they had their desks and stuff set up for what they needed. And it turns out that they were a big NASCAR promotional marketing outfit, and they just happened to have on a bicycle team out of where it just didn't fit the puzzle good of what they were involved in. But after I left that, I came back a few days later because I thought they would get in touch with the post office and said, you might make them want to straighten up with this guy. We don't need this bad publicity shining from one thing on the other. The postal systems, what the postal system was doing, and they were gone. I mean, everything was gone. I asked other people in the office. They said they didn't know. They moved out in the middle of the night. And I said, damn, I don't know but 3 people who do that. And that's myself and the Cosa Nostra and the CIA. So I sat there and said, whoa, whoa, whoa. Well, I met with some other people. Like I said, I grew up in Charlotte, and I know a lot of people tied to the NASCAR stuff and some team owners. And as I met with them, I talked to them a little bit, and I said, y'all know about this Tailwind Sports and Cece Sison? And they all looked at me and said, well, how in the hell do you know her? And this, that, and other. And I said, well, I met her with the bicycle stuff. And I said, but I went by and they'd moved. And I said, do you know where she's moved to or something? And I can recontact her. And they wouldn't say anything. But they couldn't understand how I'd met her, because something about her and the big money, and I don't run up there in the big money in the NASCAR circuit up in Mooresville and stuff. So that let me know that this is all of a sudden that the Tailwind Sports is an in-house CIA operation. They're the only ones that's got the power to put this together and have the connections for the drug enhancement drugs that nobody else would have under the table. So as I keep on now, after that happens, I try to find out what happened to it. I get up with Tailwind Sports, and all of a sudden they've moved out to California, or they were in California with an office, and all of a sudden there's another managing director of it, and he's never heard of Sissy Slicer. I know about her, because I sat there and talked to her, had business cards at the time and stuff, and I was in the office. So all of a sudden, when my name gets mentioned with them. That's what the problem was. They had to, when they got my name involved with them, and they know my investigative techniques and stuff, and I'm on the Postal Service. That's why they cleaned up and got the hell out of there. So before I discovered how much corruption was going on with this Tailwind Sports. Now we get down to the part that's going to really get into it, is the part of the Postal Service. The Postal Service was catching a lot of heat for how in the world do you know these Tailwind Sports? Why is it you come up with $9 million a year? It keeps going on that as he we get to the part that he's the only person that we know of. NASCAR people don't do it with their cars and team drivers, and no NBA players or national football players or baseball players go to a sport book and put up money that they're going to be the most valuable player or their team's going to win the World Series. But yet three times, him and Tailwind Sports went to the sport book and bet that they would win the Tour de France. Totally unheard of. And then the idea of winning was even more unheard of. I ended up calling the sport book guy in Texas and said I had stuff. Also, his lawyer didn't want to talk to me. He said, we've done made arrangements, we don't want nobody messing it up. And I said, well, that's awful funny. Who wants a lawyer working for you when you've paid out $9 million, and you might be able to get it back. And so now this case gets into it because they were catching a lot of heat, the United States Postal Service, to produce their books of why they were doing, how did they get to know these people in Tailwind Sports? Who were they? Where did they come from? And that you come up with $9 million to give them when it's just unheard of. Nobody, it's a rule of thumb that the government doesn't sponsor anybody. They'd be swamped with people wanting to give them money for this, money for that. And so the government just doesn't do it. And the only thing maybe we've ever done is a Smokey the Bear, and that was their thing. It wasn't that they was giving somebody else on some a bicycle riding in another foreign country. Not even this bicycle and stuff doesn't even go on in this country. And so they sat there and said, well, you can't say anything about us because we're just beyond reproach and all that, and we haven't done anything wrong. Well, the more information, because he was winning, and more pressure, there's no way that this guy could win under all these circumstances, and it looked like the weak link in the chain was the postal system and what went on with them and Tailwind Sports. So as it got to where they were going to have to be forced to say, come up with some information, as they were just barring the doors. Now remember, this is a government business. They're supposed to have all their stuff in the Federal Registry, and it's not about what goes on with Tailwind Sports. And so you sat there, and that's when they dropped out. The USPS dropped out, and this Discovery team was the next team that did his last Tour de France win. And so what we've got here, though, it leads into it because we now have definite corruption and fraud of the U.S. Postal Service on this reward thing. So their name's not so clean anyway, and it's going to show their name's not so clean. And this can be brought up along with this postal reward fraud because they're after $8-9 billion a year from us because they've mismanaged and how the books have gone. And so this is here we are. This is enough evidence now for anybody to start bringing a grand jury, and this is for the people of Tour de France. And the people of France and the rest of the world. This guy here, his Tour de France championships need to be rescinded, revoked, denied, and looks like maybe they can get a seat for him beside Noriega. I don't know over there. He can do plenty of time because this is going to be our government officials, the Postal Service. We're talking about doing a lot of time here for this corruption and fraud on the world, a worldwide scandal involving the USPS, Tailwind Sports, and Lance Armstrong. This is Gonzo Fred the Phoenix. No more winner of the Tour de France than Lance Armstrong should be.